And this young man that died here in the 3900 block of Rock Mill Dam. We received a call there just before 1 a.m. Sunday morning for a report of a shooting. When deputies initially got the call, it was for about at least 20 shots being fired in the backyard and in and around this home. So deputies responded. You might add that we'd actually made calls at several different parties throughout the evening, this being another one that was apparently a loud party that devolved into shots fired and prompted us to respond. When deputies arrived, obviously people were scattering, but they found the 17-year-old victim in this case dead in the backyard from an apparent gunshot wound. The victim in this case, the victim is Landon Reyes, 17 years of age, just about to turn 18 the next couple of weeks. And unfortunately, at this point, we don't have information on who the shooter is. And so we know that this party was well attended by probably at least over 100 people that were there. And so we're asking anybody with information on who took this young man's life to give us a call. We're going to utilize Crime Stoppers on this. Anybody with information to call 210-224-STOP. You can remain anonymous. It is a reward-based system, and I know that Crime Stoppers does pay up to $5,000 in some cases. I can't guarantee that in this case, but they do pay up to $5,000 in many cases for information. You can also call us. Now, this is not a reward-based, but you can call us at 210-335-6000 and give information as well. Again, we want as much information as you can stand to give us. The more, the better. We just are interested in putting somebody behind bars that murdered this young man, cut down in the prime of his life. Let me show you some video, though. It's pretty dramatic video. This is not the party in question, but it was this style. As you can see, people dancing on breakfast islands, people waving guns around. That right there is a recipe for disaster. Just a whole bunch of young people drinking, probably using narcotics, and as you can see in his grainy video, waving handguns and rifles around. Now, let me tell you, this, from what we understand, this is a sort of a trend that we're seeing. They are utilizing vacant homes, many of which are new construction homes that are not yet occupied. They're putting out information, usually via social media, on where the next party will be, and they'll go in and they'll stage a takeover. And so we urge the community that if you see something like this developing, especially in a home that you know is not yet occupied, you just moved into the neighborhood yourself, you know that nobody lives in that house, but yet you're starting to see cars gathering and hearing music playing, a loud party, give us a call, 210-335-6000, and let us know that it's occurring. For home builders, I'm going to encourage all home builders that, once again, utilize as much security as you possibly can in these new home communities where you're still in the process of building. If you've got a vacant home that's got all the utilities hooked up, it's got AC, it's got water, it's got everything ready to go, that's a prime target for these folks. All they got to do is figure out a way to get in through an open window or open a window, and then they're home free, and they can just have this party and within the comfort of a brand new home. And of course, as you know, that's a lot of damage that's occurring to those properties as well. So, esta tarde nosotros vamos a dar información tocante un homicidio que ocurrió durante el fin de semana. El joven en este caso, Landon Reyes, 17 años de edad, él desafortunadamente falleció a causa de un balazo que él sufrió en una fiesta que estaban teniendo en una casa, la casa es nueva. Es nueva casa, pero nadie vive en la casa todavía. Así es que alguien tuvo una fiesta dentro de esa casa, y cuando nosotros recibimos la llamada fue porque alguien estaba disparando armas en la casa. Ya cuando nosotros llegamos, nos encontramos con la víctima, este joven de 17, que falleció a causa de ese balazo. Ahorita no se sabe quién mató a este joven, sino que nosotros ahorita estamos pidiendo esa ayuda del público. Sabemos que alguien más allá tiene información tocante quién puede ser este sospechoso o sospechosos, y nosotros quisiéramos poder arrestar a los responsables por este delito, este homicidio. Les pedimos al público que, por favor, si tienen información, que nos pueden llamar al 210-224 STOP, 210-224, STOP. Esa llamada, en el caso de Landon, viene con recompensa. Entonces, Crime Stoppers, como ustedes saben, es una organización que ellos dan recompensa por información que nos ayuda a arrestar a las personas responsables, y les estamos pidiendo al público que por favor nos hablen en información en este caso. Any questions on this case?
Sunday morning is when this happened.
This was Saturday night, Saturday night going into Sunday morning, right before 1 a.m.
You said that there was multiple calls for parties. Are we thinking this is the same group that says jumping house to house?
So it's possible. We had made other loud party disturbances earlier in the evening. We'd been, and it's the same old story. It's been playing out since we were all in high school, right? The cops show up, the party breaks up. In this instance, it's possible that if this is the same group, they moved the party elsewhere. When that one got raided, they moved it elsewhere again. Of course, it may be that these are just three separate, party crews, for lack of a better term, that are moving around. It's a pretty common trend from what we're seeing out there. And so we're asking people to give us a call. If you see that sort of thing developing, if you see a party starting to develop in a home that's not yet occupied, that's certainly a red flag, and we need to know about it. Again, the number is 210-335-6000.
When you see that video, you mentioned them waving firearms, but there's I believe it looks like an AK or at least some type of rifle.
I believe that's an AR-15 style rifle that's being waved around, and then of course handguns. I would venture to say I see at least one that looks like it could be a Draco, which we've seen Dracos factor prominently in a lot of the cases that we handle. Young lady dancing up on the bar, most likely underage. You see alcohol, you see it all. That's a dangerous situation, no matter how you look at it right there.
Is that footage from here in Bexar County?
That's footage from here in Bexar County. That was from believe a different party earlier in the evening. We got a hold of this. It was sent to us. But again, from what's being described to us, that's what these things look like. And again, you're living in a nice, quiet neighborhood, or at least what you think it is, but yet you've got something like this going on right next door or just down the block. You can see where that many bullets flying is going to be dangerous to a whole lot of people. So again, we need to know about it.
That was the same night, not the same house.
Same night, different party. Yes, sir. Memo, tú tenías una...
Estas fiestas se han ido intensificando, aunque mucha gente no las reporta, como dice usted. ¿Han tenido en anterior casos similares?
Es algo que ya naturalmente ya sabemos que pasa, especialmente en los fines de semana, especialmente ahorita, este tiempo que ya muchos de los jóvenes ya saben que van para atrás para la escuela. Antes de eso quieren tener sus fiestas, pero desafortunadamente no se trata nomás de tener fiestas, sino que andan armados, andan usando drogas, andan tomando, y ya como podemos ver, alguna tragedia puede pasar cuando ya empiezan a disparar.
¿Fue declarado muerto en la casa el muchacho?
Sí, ahí lo declararon muerto, y nosotros ya nos comunicamos con la familia y ellos ya saben lo que pasó a este joven.
¿Dónde recibió el disparo? ¿Cuántos fueron?
Nomás puedo decir que fue en el cuerpo de arriba, el abdomen, pero no puedo comentar con mucho detalle.
And he was in the backyard or inside the house?
He was in the backyard of the residence when he was found.
Just to clarify, you've already made a big point of this, but that house where the shooting took place on Rockville Dam was unoccupied.
It was an unoccupied home, brand new construction. It appears that from the investigators that made the scene were saying that it had blue tape. So as you know, when you do a walkthrough, you're about to close on the home, you go through and you blue tape blemishes or things that need to be fixed. Well, this house had blue tape on it, indicating that somebody was just about to move into this thing.
You said there was roughly or above more than 100 people at this party?
That's the estimate, that it was over 100 people. Looking at that one there, it probably looked, especially if it was the same crew, it probably looked very similar to that. And, I have heard some video in association with this case, and it is dramatic. There is a bunch of gunfire going on. And so quite frankly, I'm surprised not more people were hit as a result of that gunfire.
I know you said that the partygoers scattered. Was anybody stopped, anybody detained?
I don't know that we were able to get anybody detained in this instance. I think once the young man was found, that ended up, or two were detained as a result of this one.
Do we know anything about the detainees?
I don't at this point, but if it's something we can share, we'll certainly have the PIO office send it to you.
Any idea what may have like an argument, or just was it horseplay gone wrong?
I honestly think they were just out messing around and firing guns at random, and this young man somehow got struck by accident. You know, these guys aren't real careful when they start. You know, it should be noted earlier in the evening at one of the other parties, when they scattered, somebody dropped their keys, and somebody else picked those keys up, stole that car, and then we ended up in a high-speed pursuit with that vehicle later in the evening. And so, I mean, these things just continue to snowball into other very dangerous situations.
Were the other parties that evening in a similar area?
No, I believe there was a few miles apart, close enough together to where we think it could be related. But again, it's possible there's 3 different groups that were doing these things. Now, you know, some of these things, my understanding is that they communicate them on social media. And so again, we'll use this as an opportunity to remind parents that they need to be aware of their children's social media. None of us want to be that helicopter parent, right? We don't want to be that parent that's constantly watching our kids, but unfortunately, you can see the kind of things that they can be around, be exposed to, or even become the victim of if we don't. And so, again, I'd rather be accused of being a helicopter parent than losing a child to a tragedy, a senseless tragedy like this.
Al llegar a la escena, ¿había alguien más o nada más estaba el cuerpo?
No, nosotros logramos arrestar 2 personas. No se sabe si ellos estuvieron involucrados con el homicidio o si eran testigos, pero sí ahorita estamos tratando de averiguar eso. Yo les urjo a los padres que por favor tengan cuidado. Lo que nosotros sabemos de estas fiestas es que muchas veces se comunican por medio de las redes sociales dónde va a ser la fiesta. Entonces, como padres tenemos que estar al tanto de lo que están haciendo nuestros jóvenes en las redes sociales. Ahora, nadie quiere ser alguno de los padres que nomás está encima de los hijos, pero también podemos ver las tragedias que pasan cuando no nos fijamos 100% del tiempo.
You saw the video of the firearms, obviously a lot of guns in general.
Sure.
When you look at the type of guns that they have, just your thoughts on that.
Well, I mean, they're definitely, high capacity, weapons, high caliber weapons, any weapon in the hands of a young kid that doesn't know anything about a gun in the first place, and just obviously they're careless enough to be throwing these things around, waving these things around. Any gun is, dangerous, but especially when you add in the fact that these are high capacity, very powerful weapons. And again, I don't know anything about those guns in that video, but I'm willing to bet my next 10 paychecks that if we were to somehow find those guns and run them, they're probably mostly stolen from vehicles. That's another trend.
Armas, ¿la mayoría están registradas o la mayoría no están registradas?
No, la mayoría de estas armas, le apuesto que son robadas, de robos de carros, es lo que estamos viendo cada día. Nosotros tomamos muchos reportes donde en tiendas, en teatros, en gimnasios, mucha gente dejan los carros las armas descuidadas en el carro y nomás por unos cuantos minutos o toda la noche en algunos casos, y ya cuando salen alguien se ha robado esa arma. Entonces yo le apuesto que muchas de estas armas que estamos viendo aquí son robadas de esa manera.
¿Qué es lo que están haciendo ustedes para poder prevenir este tipo de fiestas, este tipo de
Bueno,
que están viviendo los jóvenes?
Bueno, nuestros oficiales de patrulla, tanto como nuestra unidad de antipandillas, están fijándose en estos casos, pero también hay muchos de estos casos que si nadie nos habla a nosotros, entonces nosotros obviamente hay gran chance que no nos vayamos a dar cuenta. Muchas veces los vecinos ponen la queja de estas fiestas en las redes sociales, como por ejemplo en Nextdoor o en Facebook en su vecindad, pero si no marcan al número de la policía, nosotros no nos damos cuenta hasta que después que pase una tragedia. Entonces ya muchas veces confiamos mucho en las redes sociales, pero no hablamos a las autoridades. Les estamos pidiendo al público que por favor nos hablen cuando tengan información, no nomás lo pongan en las redes sociales, que también nos hablen a nosotros.
What's the next step for your department?
For us, we continue to investigate Landon's murder, and we continue to ask for information on it. Again, we would ask anybody with any information to give us a call. The number to call, you can call the BCSO non-emergency number, 210-335-6000. if you're interested in collecting a reward eventually at some point, 210-224-STOP, that is the Crime Stoppers number. Here in a little while, it's important to note, here in a little while, we're in the process of putting together a portal where we can put out information and ask people to scan that and send us video. It's new technology that's emerging for us. We plan to put something out later this evening or tomorrow with that, establishing a portal where somebody can send us this video. Again, that's not to say that before that portal set up, if you were to call me right now and say, hey, I got video, we'll find a way to get that video from you. Again, we just want to get this young man's murder solved. His family wants to get it solved. And, we certainly want to bring closure to them and bring justice to the people that are responsible for killing this young man in cold blood.
¿Puede explicarlo del portal en español?
Sí, nosotros ahorita tenemos una tecnología que apenas estamos consiguiendo, que nosotros queremos poner un portal en nuestras redes sociales donde alguien puede nomás hacer scan en ese portal y ahí de allí nos pueden mandar email con video o información, lo que sea. Nosotros quisiéramos poder poner esa información tan pronto que se pueda, pero es tecnología nueva que apenas estamos empezando a usarla.
Could you describe that house for deputies walking in and seeing all that? Did y'all find a lot of shell casings that may not have been related to the shooting?
Sure, we did. We found a lot of shell casings, and obviously it looks like that house is pretty well trashed out. On the inside, people dancing on kitchen islands and doing all kinds of stuff in there. So it's in disarray. But then, of course, the most heartbreaking part of that is finding a 17-year-old young man, hadn't even started his life yet, obviously dead from a gunshot wound. So it's a horrible situation, and again, we just want somebody to give us somebody out there knows what happened, and so we're asking somebody to please give us a call.
¿Qué de los dueños de la casa o del lugar?
Bueno, el dueño de la casa ahorita es la compañía de construcción. Ahorita los dueños que la están comprando no han recogido las llaves todavía, entonces ahorita les surgimos al público que si saben algo, por favor, que nos hablen.
O sea, abrieron la casa.
No se sabe cómo la abrieron. Es posible que ellos trabajan en construcción, es posible que ellos quebraron una ventana ahorita, yo no sé, pero también ya sabemos que es fácil entrar a una casa ya. Si alguien se propone a entrar a una casa a fuerza, van a encontrar la manera. Por eso tenemos que asegurar que los vecinos están al tanto y nos llamen tan pronto que ven actividades en las casas estas. Okay, any other questions on the homicide case? We can always come back to it. I wanted to give you all some information on what we're considering an endangered missing juvenile. This young lady, she's only 14, Ana Alejandra Arroyave Ortiz. Alejandra Arroyave Ortiz. She's 14 years of age. Unfortunately, at this point, we have very little information on who we believe she's with. All we can tell you is that we believe that she's with a person named Cesar or Cesar, and she was last seen wearing a black hooded sweater, torn blue jeans, and white Converse tennis shoes. Now, it is possible that she may have traveled out of state with Cesar. So I can tell you that our partners at the FBI are involved in this case, since we believe there's an interstate nexus to this. And so they are certainly helping us out with what they can. FBI here locally especially has always been very good at dropping everything they got and coming to help us with everything that they've got. So we're asking for anybody with any help. I can tell you this young lady is 5'4". She weighs 164 pounds, brown eyes, black hair. And again, she was last seen wearing a black hooded sweater with torn blue jeans and white Converse tennis shoes. Now, they just handed me an update on this. We are receiving information that she may still be in the area. So deputies are working on tips. We want to continue to asking for tips until we find her. And so the number to call for that is our non-emergency number, 210-335-6000. I'm going to go on a limb here and say, if you see this young lady and time is absolutely of the essence that we get her, that's absolutely an emergency situation in my book. So call 911 if you happen to spot this young lady here or anywhere else. We're asking for folks to give us a call. Again, you can call 210-335-6000 or you can call 911. Esta niña de 14 años de edad, Ana Alejandra Arroyave Ortiz, ella huyó de la casa. No sabemos con quién está realmente, solamente que tenemos información que es posible que sea un hombre que se llama César. No se sabe la edad de este sospechoso, sino que es posible que él la ha llevado fuera del estado de Texas, pero apenas me llegó información nueva que es posible que ella todavía está aquí en San Antonio, en el condado de Béjar. Entonces les pedimos al público, si tiene información tocante esta niña, que por favor nos llamen al 210-335-6000 o también pueden marcar al 911. Esto naturalmente, cuando se trata de una niña de esta edad, con una persona desconocida, esa es una emergencia. Entonces nosotros urgimos al público que nos hablen. Si tienen que usar el sistema de 911, pero nosotros queremos recoger a esta niña y traérsela para atrás para la familia, para que esté. At this point, it's possible she may have met this man on social media. We've handled way too many cases like this where a young person that they think is this person. In reality, they've been baited into let themselves be picked up by this other person. And quite frankly, a lot of these cases, it's not outside the realm of possibilities that this young lady could end up a victim of human trafficking. Again, we don't want it to come. We're asking for the public to give us a call. Again, the number is 210-335-6000 or 911.
¿Sabemos dónde fue vista por última vez y qué traía puesto por última vez?
Fue la última vez en su casa, en el oeste del condado. Y ella tenía una hoodie negra con blue jeans y zapatos atléticos marca Converse, blancos.
5'4".
5'4", 164 pounds.
And then, do we know if she left the house willingly or?
I believe she did leave willingly. That's the information that we have at this point. Now, it's possible she's no longer willing, but again, we want to get her back into custody sooner rather than later.
So family has no idea who it is?
That's the thing. In talking to the family, they don't know anybody by that name. They don't know what connection she has to anybody by that name. What we have is that it's possible she met him on social media, which, as you know, on social media, anybody can become anybody else. A 50-year-old man can pose as a 16-year-old boy, just like that, and anything to lure a young lady out of a home like that.
Do we know how we got the name Cesar?
I don't, but it's. I mean, well, I do know, but it's not something that I'm willing to part with at this point. Any other questions?
In Far West Bexar County.
Far West Bexar County, yes, sir. I appreciate the y'all coming in, and we'll get you as much information as we can later today. Thank you.